Hello. Welcome back to Crude's Clinic. Let's talk about the up-and-coming extraction shooter that you haven't heard of, called Level Zero Extraction. This game isn't your dad's extraction shooter. In this game, you have two factions. You have mercs and aliens. Yeah, you heard me right. Aliens. Now, let's get into it. First with the mercs. This is your average human player. Their job is to grab the valuables left at this abandoned research facility and shoot anything that isn't them and get the fuck out. Simple enough, right? Well, let's talk about the alien now. They have a simple job as well. That's just to kill you. Alright. Well, let's talk about that. The alien is controlled by a player in a lobby of 12. This alien changes the whole game, being a constant ominous threat to you and the rest of the server. It's a very refreshing change to the extraction shooter genre and provides a unique gameplay experience not found anywhere else. Now, before we even dive into that, let's break down the meat and potatoes of the game. First, the lighting. The lighting of Level Zero is incredible to say the least, and is one of the most make or break components of a fight. Typically, one would use the light to be able to see. However, in this game, the light is not your friend. And without the light, well, this game is dark. That's neither here nor there right now. As far as looks, well, let's just say it looks incredible across the board. It is genuinely something to get lost in, and not just because it's dark. The lighting in this game is absolutely insane with how it feels, how it plays into the environment. Light being both a tool to allow you to see is also a key feature to stopping the alien. However, it is something to be used at one's own risk because it also illuminates you to the other mercs in the area, while also putting a stop to the alien, giving you breathing room, as well as allowing you to see the loot and resources around you. Be aware that other players can track you by the lights you turn on and will be lurking in the shadows where you can't see them. It feels nice having light be something other than just a tool that gives you away. It comes with a risk now associated with it, other than, the obvious, On the topic of lighting and environmentals, a big complaint I have heard from people is frames. A small amount of optimization for this game could go a long way in helping players who don't have the best of PCs to play, especially in a game where frames are everything. Another thing I noticed is the sound. The audio is incredible. It's crisp, it's solid, it's nice. It's able to capture the ambiance of horror with the stark contrast of silence, giving you the false sentiment you're alone, only for the telltale scuttling of the alien running in a nearby vent waiting for its moment to strike, or the muffled sounds of distant gunfire of a firefight that broke out on the other side of the facility, or of a merc team fighting off the alien. You'll never know unless you go investigate, and you could round the corner to a couple dead bodies, maybe a magazine, or magazines and some med pens kind of scattered about, and they trail off behind a door, or a couple discarded flares, trailing off to another area of the facility. It's quite a unique way to handle a environmental sound. It's really well done. It's very well done. A big issue I personally noticed with it is the way loot is handled in Level Zero. It can really hinder the early game for new players. As it stands, new players are just kind of dumped into the deep end with no real awareness of their surroundings. On top of this, experienced players know exactly where things are, where to go, and I believe having the ability to randomize where things are can allow for a more unique and interesting raid session for all players involved. A feature I would personally like to see added is more of a story, something that grounds everything together, with fixed points of interest, allowing new players to learn different mechanics of the game, as well as how to navigate the facility quickly and efficiently, while also releasing more of the story elements on the game, talking about what happened at the facility, who was there, what went wrong, why it went wrong, you know, as well as providing new players with the ability to get some decent gear out of it. This could help make the story of the game feel a little more fleshed out, as well as more of a conclusive whole rather than a speculative interpretation, which in its own right works. However, when you have a lore tab, I personally would like to see where the story goes. That's right, Doghouse Games. I saw it. We all saw the lore tab. Now, enough of that. Let's get into the gameplay. Now, the gameplay of the Merc in level 0 is very nice. It's extremely simplistic. It gives way to what the Psycho Frontier had going for it when it first dropped, right? The guns weren't too over-the-top complex, nor were they too simple. It was very refreshing. However, I will say the biggest hurdle to get over was the early game. Starting out with only a nail gun, dart gun, and harpoon gun, with the nail gun being the go-to weapon of choice for many, if not all the starting players, made those players who managed to get guns and other better gear the fastest, made a power spike among those players that much more drastic and that much more stark of a difference. The players that are experienced are also aware of how rough the early game is, and they aren't going out of their way to hunt down new players. Trust me, they're not. But what they are doing is they're spawning in, running to the nearest spawn, and killing the players there out of fear that there's another team there that is running all vectors or all AKs or all scars, you know. Now, if you did die mid-raid, which, let's be honest, probably happened more than you'd like to admit, fear not, because you're not forced to just simply spectate your teammates play the game and wait for them to leave or die. No. You get to help. You get to continue to play. You're not out of this fight. You get a little drone, little flashlight drone that can fly around, and you can interact with doors, light switches, and other things in the surrounding environment, turning on and off lights, opening and closing doors, and as well as shining a light on the alien to deter him from attacking your teammates. The early stages of level 0 is quite the ball buster. It really is. You really have to pick your fights carefully when playing Merc, especially with the previously mentioned power spike that currently exists. Granted, this is all in beta, so it's all subject to change, and that's something we need to keep in mind as well as consider when we discuss these things. However, a big change that I would make here is, for the next beta, make it so that the players at the start have an ability to get a gun sooner. What this will do is this will allow those players who play a little more casually to still have a fighting chance, you know, and kind of level the playing field a bit. Now, I did notice that on the Merc page there is a crafting tab, and I am interested to see what comes of the crafting tab, because right now just gathering junk and selling it for rep wasn't, I just didn't find that enjoyable. The crafting tab, though, that's quite interesting. I'm curious about that. And it does say that we will be able to craft low tier weapons, so I'm thinking things like the machete, the fire axe, the sledgehammer, or the G17. Definitely not biased, you know, not biased at all. Another feature that is unavailable for the Merc was the neurochips. Now, we had them in the game, however, the neurochips we had were few, and from what I could imagine, and what I believe the direction they're trying to go with, the neurochips is more of a way to kind of get your merc to stand out to your specific playstyle, whether that's a heavy weapon specialist or a medic or a sneaky fast boy, or maybe even just a crazy man with a machete. Whatever fits your fancy, I think the neurochips are going to be the defining factor in that. And I am very excited to see what comes in the adding of that. On to the other side of the coin, to the alien. The alien is by far one of the more fun aspects, in my personal opinion, for this game, and not for the reason you think. The alien's a lot of fun in level 0 for the simple fact that the pressure of getting out with gear, getting out with loot, and all of that isn't there. It's not there. I can be this omnipresent, ominous threat that can pop out of the shadows or vent at any moment and just ruin your day. It's an incredible feeling, especially when you've been having a rough day playing Merc. You swap over to Alien and it's cathartic almost. With it being only half available, it does feel a little underwhelming, and it did leave me wanting for more. However, any considerable changes that they could make to the Alien, that complaints that I had about playing it, complaints that I had about balance issues, they don't do very much considering the amount of changes that are coming down the pipeline, and having keep in mind that this is in a beta state. The game is perfect the way it is. It's fine, right? The biggest complaint I personally had with the Alien, and this is just me personally, a skill issue, I guess, if you will, is the amount of buttons for everything when it came to the Alien. It felt cluttered, it felt clunky, and I do wish that we were able to key map and or rebind keys for the Alien specifically. Hopefully this can come with the next beta test, right? On top of this, something else that I think might work is splitting the Alien into 2 different aliens. So you have more of the area denial style of playstyle with a more hunter-centric focused playstyle who does more of the direct damage, charges in and attacks. It's a little more resistant to light, hits not as hard, but is able to kind of beat up on the mercs, whereas the ambush area denial one hits a little harder but is super vulnerable to light. This give and take, push and pull could create some unique dynamics, I feel like. Now, with that being said, I did notice that within the Aliens tree, within the Aliens card, we have a mutations tab. This mutations tab, they have mentioned, will change the way the Alien plays to suit more of your playstyle, to kind of build to your liking, right? And I am very interested into seeing where that leads exactly, right? So the Alien as a whole is a little weak. Right now, as it stands, the Alien's weak. I get it. I do. Humans got a huge power spike with the guns, with the addition of guns. From what I've been told, Dark Wizard has another really good, review of level 0. And he's played it a lot longer than I have. He played the previous beta. Definitely go check out his video. I'll have it linked in the description below. But he says that, with this recent power spike of the guns from the merc side, the Alien's a little lackluster. But that's okay. That's okay. The Alien isn't there to wipe lobbies, although you very certainly can. It's not there to wipe lobbies. No, the Alien's there to whittle down the mercs before committing to a kill. So you want to whittle down their resources, get them to use up their stuff before then pouncing, right? You're more of an opportunistic killer. Wait until they're fighting another team, then go in type stuff, right? On top of this, the thing we need to remember and this is something that I don't think a lot of people seem to understand, is the game's in beta. The number of people that I see complaining, oh, this is overpowered, or this isn't strong enough, or this is too weak, or this is too powerful. It's in beta. It's in beta. Right now, they're just gathering data, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what needs to change, what doesn't need to change. And I'm going to be completely honest. The way Doghow is going with this game is solid. It's incredible across the board. It is. What really gives me hope for this game, above everything else, is the fact that the developers appear to be responsive, receptive, and reactive to the community when it comes to problems, bugs, and everything else. And it's a refreshing change, considering that most modern games now, you have dev teams that either don't care or don't want to listen to the problems that the communities bring forth. And when problems are changed, the devs make it seem like it was such a big deal, when the problems that they changed were problems that have been around since day one and weren't all that hard to change in the first place. Now I get it, they got work to do and whatnot, but sometimes doing it in a timely manner is what's most important, and most modern games don't do that anymore. Now, a big thing for me is the transparency. When it comes to level 0, there seems to be a lot of transparency. They have a gorgeous roadmap. They have all of these ideas and features that they want to bring, and the roadmap is laid out very nicely in the game, where with what is done, what is currently being worked on, what is to come, what is still on the drawing board, like, oh, these are ideas and planned things to work on, like that type of dedication and honesty is really nice. It shows where they want to take the game to the player base before anything actually hits the paper, right? And that bodes well for the game. It bodes well. The community itself seems very dedicated to what the game can become, to seeing the game come to life. I, for one, am very excited for what this game is going to be, what it is going, to be released. The fact that nobody's talking about this game surprises me, considering what it is and what it's capable of, what it brings to the extraction shooter genre. Like I said in the beginning, this isn't your dad's extraction shooter. This isn't another Tarkov clone. This isn't anything bland. This is very refreshing, and it's a solid twist to what extraction shooters could be. I believe that level 0 extraction is on the right track. And what it's doing and adding things to the gameplay feels thought out and solid, especially for a beta. This was just a beta, and it's solid. It's almost a full game. Now, with that being said, I'm very eager to await how this continues to develop, especially with how great this game is as it stands right now. And to improve upon what is already here and add more great features, it's gonna be one hell of a ride, and I can't wait for the next beta test. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.